I wasn't supposed to be out that late, but the trail looked simple enough. Just a straight path through the forest with a small loop at the end. Something predictable, something I had done before in other places, and I remember checking the map twice before I started, because I don't like getting lost, especially not in unfamiliar areas, but everything about it seemed normal. Calm, even the kind of quiet that makes you feel like nothing could go wrong. And for the first hour, that's exactly how it felt, just the sound of leaves under my shoes and the occasional wind moving through the trees, nothing unusual, nothing out of place, until I realized I hadn't seen a trail marker in a while, and that wasn't normal because they were spaced out evenly, easy to follow, almost impossible to miss. So I slowed down, looking around more carefully, expecting to find the hay. A next marker just ahead, but it wasn't there, and neither was the one behind me when I turned around, and that's when the silence started to feel different, heavier, like the forest was paying attention, and I told myself it was nothing, that I had just missed a turn, so I kept walking, trying to stay calm, trying not to overthink it, but the path kept going longer than it should have, stretching forward without any sign of ending, and the trees on either side started to look the same too. Similar, like I wasn't moving through the forest but standing still while it shifted around me. And then I saw something ahead, a trail marker, exactly what I had been looking for. But when I got closer, I stopped, because it wasn't just any marker. It was the same one I had passed earlier. I recognized the scratch on the side, the way it leaned slightly to the left, and I stood. I'm there for a moment trying to make sense of it, because there was no way I had turned around, no way I had walked in a circle without noticing, and yet there it was, exactly where it shouldn't be. And that's when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, steady, matching my pace from a distance, and I didn't turn around. I didn't want to confirm what I already felt, that something was following me on a trail that wasn't supposed to loop, and the footsteps continued, always just far enough away to stay out of sight, and I started walking faster, not running, just enough to create distance, but the sound stayed the same. Consistent, patient, like it wasn't trying to catch me, just stay with me. And eventually, without any clear reason, the trail ended, just suddenly opened into a clearing with the exit road in sight, like nothing had ever been wrong. And when I stepped out of the forest and looked back, there was no trail marker, no sign of where I had just been. Just trees completely still. Like the path had never existed at all. It started as a normal camping trip. Just one night. Nothing complicated, a small clearing near the edge of the forest where the trees weren't too dense, where you could still see the sky if you looked up, and I remember thinking it was a perfect spot. Quiet, but not too isolated, safe enough to relax, and as the night settled in, everything felt exactly as it should. The soft sounds of insects, the occasional movement in the distance, the kind of background noise that becomes almost comforting after a while, and I sat there for a long time, just listening, letting the darkness settle around me until I noticed something that didn't quite fit, a shape between the trees far enough away that I couldn't make out any details, but close enough to know it wasn't part of the landscape. And at first I thought it was just my eyes adjusting, that I was imagining something that wasn't really there. So I looked away, gave it a few seconds, then looked back, and it was still there, exactly in the same spot, not moving, not shifting, just standing. And I tried to focus on it to understand what I was seeing. But every time I looked directly at it, it seemed to blur slightly, like it didn't want to be clearly seen. And that's when I realized something else, something worse. It wasn't just standing there, it was facing me, and I could feel it, that awareness, like being watched in a way that doesn't need confirmation. And I told myself to stay calm, that it could be anything, another camper, someone passing through. But something about it didn't feel human. Not in a threatening way, just in a way that didn't make sense. And I stayed where I was, not moving, not calling out, just watching it the same way. It was watching me. And after a while, I blinked just for a second. And when I opened my eyes, it was gone completely, like it had never been there. And I stood up immediately, scanning the area, trying to find any sign of movement, any indication of where it could have gone. But there was nothing. No sound, no footsteps, no branches moving. Just silence, deeper than before, like the forest had absorbed whatever had been there. And I didn't sleep that night, not even for a moment, because every time I closed my eyes, I had the feeling that if I opened them again, it would be closer, standing just beyond where I could clearly see. I had been hiking most of the day deeper into the forest than I probably should have gone. But the trail was well marked, and I wasn't worried, not at first, because everything seemed normal, predictable, and by the time the sun started to set, I had already decided to head back, retracing my steps carefully, making sure I didn't miss any turns. But as the light faded, the forest started to feel different. Not darker exactly, just quieter, like the usual sounds had pulled away, leaving behind something else, something harder to describe. And I picked up my pace slightly, wanting to get out before it got too late, and that's when I heard it. My name spoken clearly, softly from somewhere behind me, and I stopped immediately, turning around without thinking, expecting to see someone, anyone. But there was no one there, just trees, endless and still. And I stood there for a moment, listening, waiting, trying to convince myself I had imagined it, that it was just my mind playing tricks on me after a long day. And then it happened again, closer this time. My name exactly the same tone, the same calm voice, like someone calling out to get my attention. And I felt something shift inside me, something instinctive telling me not to respond, not to answer, not to acknowledge it. And instead I started walking again, faster now, focusing only on the path ahead, trying to ignore the sound completely. But it followed, not constantly, just enough to stay present, calling my name at random intervals, sometimes closer, sometimes farther, like it was moving through the trees without making a sound. And I kept walking, refusing to look back again, because I knew if I did, I might see something I wouldn't be able to explain. And eventually, after what felt longer than it should have been, I reached the edge of the forest, the familiar side of the road. I just ahead, and the voice stopped completely, as if it couldn't follow me any further, and I didn't stop moving until I was far away, far enough that the trees were no longer visible. And even now, sometimes when it's quiet, when everything around me feels still, I hear it again, faint, distant, but unmistakable. The same voice saying my name, like it never really stayed behind, like it's just waiting for me to go back. The forest doesn't always show you what's there. Sometimes it lets you feel it instead, and sometimes it remembers you.